Welcome, investigator. Evil is on the rise. Crime is escalating. Our mission is to eliminate the crime by exposing evil, examine why it manifests, and highlight the brave souls that confront it every day. Join us as we work together to bring justice to every victim. Welcome to All Things Crime. Here's your host, Jared Bradley.
So what, let's see, back when we first met, I think de Blasio was still the mayor over there.
Boy.
As I know he was your favorite.
Oh man, you want to talk about a little soy boy, real toxic person? That's him.
Yeah. So with Adams being, I know he was a former NYPD guy. Has things gotten any better?
I think I'm going to tread carefully with this because I have a lot of friends who work in the city. I think there's a lot he wants to do. I think there's a lot he had planned to do. I think there's a lot that he envisioned for the city. And I think that he's facing a lot of opposition. I think he's facing a lot of opposition, and I don't think it's fair that he receives some of the criticism that he does. I mean, listen, I was one of the loudest voices to criticize him for his COVID mandates, for keeping a lot of the COVID mandates and the vaccination mandates in check. I was one of the loudest ones to say, hey, listen, that ain't cool. But I think he had a vision and a plan, and I think he's facing a lot of opposition to it. And unfortunately, that's the most I can say about that.
Yeah. Well, I think cities that are as big as New York, the bureaucracy that's embedded in that place has to be just, I'll bet it rivals Washington, D.C. In the federal government. It's just so huge. I don't think most people even comprehend how big, I don't know what the total budget is, but my understanding is NYPD alone has a couple of $1 billion budget. So that's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people in there. And yeah, I had great hopes for Mayor Adams when he came in, especially being a former law enforcement. Hopefully he can pull some good things out though, because based on everybody I'm talking to, you guys need help over there, just like most of the big cities do.
Only thing I can say is this. I think a lot of the big cities, Chicago, New York City, Baltimore, Seattle, Los Angeles, that are in blue states, I think the cops there are extremely frustrated because there's so much they want to do. I think there's so much that they signed up for and expected. And I think that the overwhelming majority of cops, I'm not going to say 100%, I wish I could say 100%, but there are bad cops out there. I think the overwhelming majority of cops, I'm talking over 95% of cops out there, want to go out there and really truly do from the top echelon down to the guy walking the beat. I think they really want to clean up their cities, bona fide clean up their cities. But I think they're facing a lot of resistance from a lot of these Democrat socialists, from a lot of these far left liberals, from a lot of people who are just flat out anti-cop, and they see themselves as saving humanity by being anti-cop. I think that they're facing a lot of opposition. I think that they're leashed and really want to be unleashed. And I think that these far left politicians who are taking these stances, who are more pro criminal than they are pro victim, I think I really wish their constituents would wake up. And that's, like I said, I wish I could say more. In another couple of years, we'll do this interview over, and I'll let it all loose.
Well, I also just recently had a short, a video, a clip video that the title of it was "Good Cops Hate Bad Cops," and again, the number of crazy responses I've gotten to that, everywhere from, any good cop that watches a bad cop do his bad cop things isn't a good cop, and there are no good cops. I mean, it's just incredible. It seems to me that, and I've talked to a number of people about this, specifically law enforcement, and I think Dion Joseph out in LA actually brought it up the first time. He was basically saying, you know what? Law enforcement is basically the only professional community that is blamed. The entire community takes heat when one person screws up. And I can't think of, I think that rings true. I can't think of any other profession. You know, when a doctor operates on the wrong freaking leg, they don't blame all the other doctors, but in law enforcement they do. So it's crazy. I mean, based on what you're seeing right now, what's the attitude of, as far as what's going on with how you guys are perceiving things?
People, anyone who I always roll my eyes when I hear people say, "Oh, you know, if a cop watches, if a supposed good cop watches a bad cop do their thing, that cop is just as bad." Which, you know what, is 100% true. But my thing is, what do you think goes on in police locker rooms or in police stations? You know, in gathering rooms for, you know, in training rooms and things like that, in police precincts and police stations. What do you think is going on? Do you think the supposed bad cops, the quote unquote bad cops, are sitting there gathered together going, you know, you know, I'm gonna go extort this electronics store. I'm gonna rob this drug dealer and I'm gonna hoard his money for myself. You know, and the good cops are standing on the corner going, what are we gonna do? I wish they would stop you. That's not happening. I can promise you that's not happening. Usually, when we see that there's a bad cop who was arrested somewhere or made the paper or something like that, we're just as shocked as everyone else. We're the ones going, "Oh wow, you know, yeah, I always knew Johnson was kind of off," you know. And then my next question to them is, and who do you think is out there reporting these bad cops, arresting these bad cops? What do you think, the bad cop fairy comes out of nowhere and is just able to psychically see what's going on and then arrest them? No, it's other cops saying, "Hey, you know what? There's something going on with this guy over here. Let me make a phone call." Or, you know what? I watched this cop come in and throw something into his car real quick and then walk into the station like nothing happened. I feel like I need to report that, you know. Or it's junior cops talking to their bosses and going, "Hey, you know, I was out there with Lewis the other day, and he said something to me, and he told me to keep my mouth shut. I'm not cool with that, you know." Or it's internal affairs doing their thing. People who make these asinine statements have no idea what goes on behind the scenes in police service stations or areas or precincts or buildings or anything. They have no idea. They're getting their philosophies off of Law and Order, off of Blue Bloods, off of Chicago PD, the you know, whatever police shows are out there, cop movies where, you know, the bad cops are like, you know, "Hey, listen, man, we've been partners for X number of years. Don't tell on me." They're getting their ideas from Hollywood. In real life, listen, I knew a bad cop and I knew something was off with him, but I didn't know how bad he was. And guess what? When they interviewed me, because my number was in his phone, I sang like a bird. I told him everything I knew. And guess what? He was a black cop, just like myself. So there was no solidarity between, you know, black cops. There was no blue on blue solidarity. There was no, you know, I'm not going to say anything because, you know, it's going to make the job look bad. Like I saw one stupid movie I had the misfortune of watching. There was none of that. I sang like a bird, and every other cop they interviewed, is in regards to this cop, sang like a bird. I know plenty of other cops who were caught by internal affairs doing something. And guess what? When they interviewed the old partners and everything else like that, cops have a mindset of, I'm going to protect my family because I have to be the breadwinner, and I'm going to protect my pension because I want to get the hell up out of here one day. So if you're asking me to perjure myself or cover for a bad cop just because, I want to protect our brotherhood, or I want to protect our thin blue line. Guess what? I got some good news or bad news for you. That ain't reality. That ain't the truth.
Yeah.
So stop getting your ideas from Hollywood. Stop looking for a dragon to fight, and you think you're being some sort of social justice warrior by going up against the oh so bad corrupt cops. It ain't happening. The Every cop I know wants to go to work, do their job, and then come home, because it's really tiring dealing with some of you social justice advocates and whatever you want to be, your activists, whatever you want to be. It's really tiring dealing with some of you. So we just want to do our job, get yelled at, take our abuse, and go home.
Yeah. Well, a big part of my response is, you know what? You just because there's not a video of all the things, all the good things that cops do, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And you rarely see videos of cops pulling cats out of trees and helping grandmas across the street and things like that. But so yeah, the majority of the videos out there are going to be of things that supposedly are what bad cops are doing. But you know what, the cleanup actually happens behind the scenes, like you said, internal affairs, in the training rooms, those kind of things. That's where get rid of the bad cops. But like I said, until they start really harping on the medical community for all the medical malpractice that's happening, then it's just not fair to crucify all of law enforcement for what some of the stupid bad cops do. So yeah. Hey, one other thing, have to ask you if you've been invited to Mar-a-Lago yet.
I would love to go. I would love to just hang out and go and take pictures with everyone. It would be a great time. I've been a fan of Trump for a long time. Even before The Apprentice and everything. I actually, I had a very brief encounter with him in Manhattan one day, and he was a gentleman.
Yeah.
Like a half-second encounter, and he was a gentleman, and it left an impression on me. So I've been a big Trump fan for a while, and I watched him on The Apprentice. I watched all his little appearances here and there. I thought he was a cool guy. And then when he ran for president, I'll be the first to admit I was a never Trumper, because I went, I can't take him seriously. I was a Ben Carson guy. I was a Ted Cruz guy, and even I voted for him just because I couldn't vote for Hillary and look myself in the mirror and feel like I did something to help the country. So I voted for Trump, and he won me over. I became an even bigger fan of his after that. And now I'm a full-fledged red hat wearing. I got my red hat right here. Make America Great Again. I got my red hat right there. So I'm a full-fledged Trumper now. But I would love to go to Mar-a-Lago. If they ever have another shindig, another party, another get-together, I would love to go there and just shake a couple people's hands, get a picture with Trump, get a picture with other right-wing commentators and things like that, and just be like, hey, I was there. And just be able to say that.
Yeah, a few years ago, Burgess Owens had an event, and Don Jr. showed up, and he was there with Kimberly Guilfoyle, and that was just that made my day. I was so ecstatic about that. So yeah, the last thing gotta end with a funny note here. What's the deal with you and Charles Barkley, man?
There is no deal. Well, I mean, he went on his show. He saw my picture. That surprised me more than anything. I was a Charles Barkley fan growing up. I like Charles Barkley.
The dude's hilarious.
I thought he was a funny dude, and I liked his style of playing. I'm a fan of that early NBA's, that real tough, gritty NBA team. The original Dream Team with Jordan and Barkley and Magic. I'm a fan of all those guys. So when Charles Barkley said what he said about punching anybody wearing a Trump mugshot shirt, I said, hey, I just happen to so have a Trump mugshot shirt. Let me cause some trouble. And I took a picture and it went super viral. I honestly didn't expect the picture to spread the way it did. And the next week, Charles mentioned me specifically and said he's not looking to punch anybody in the face, and then made fun of my shirt for being too small, which the shirt was a double XL. I'm just, I guess I'm just a larger kind of guy. And that was my claim to fame. I made Charles Barkley the one of the best rebounders and most aggressive NBA players out there. I made Charles Barkley back down. So
Wow.
that's my claim to fame. I gotta put that in my Twitter bio. I made Charles Barkley back down.
Well, I saw all of that and I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, but you're what, 6'4", 260, something like that?
No, I'm 6'2", and I'm currently about 270.
All right. Well, yeah, you're a big dude. I've seen enough pictures that I imagine in your officer uniform, with all your gear on, and especially if you're wearing a jacket, man, it's I bet you're fairly intimidating.
You know what's funny? I go out of my way to try to talk to kids.
Yeah.
And try to be as friendly to them as I can. My biggest pet peeve is when parents go, "Hey, if you don't stop, I'm going to call the cop," and they point to me. I'm going to call this police officer. And just for that, I always carry. I have, you can see all my challenge coins here. I always try to carry an extra challenge coin or a patch or two with me. And every time parents say that, I make it a point to either hand them a coin or hand them a patch, or I'll have some K9 cards on me or something like that, because I hate that, that even at an early age, cops are being seen as this punishing force.
Yeah.
And, I don't want that. I teach my daughter every day, cops are your friends. Every time she sees a cop car, she, "Oh, Daddy, there go your friends." So, I'm trying to change that kind of stigma anywhere I can.
Well, absolutely. One of my boys' teammates and a really good friend is a sergeant in one of the uh, departments around here, and coolest guy in the world. I've got several cops that are neighbors, and every time I look at them, and I'll point to the boys, I say, you know what, our neighborhood is safer because those guys are here. So I wish more people would recognize that, and it's kind of like one of those again, going back to that good cop, good cops hate bad cops clip. There's a lot of people that are just like, oh, we just need to get rid of all of them. And my response to that is, you know what? You would be overrun in a matter of days if there weren't cops out here, and they're protecting us, and they make our lives possible. I mean, I would not be able to do business at all if I also had to provide my own security. Couldn't do it. So
I ask people all the time, did you see the Purge movies? Did you see the Purge? Is that what you want?
Yeah, no kidding. It would literally be a 40 million person Lord of the Flies.
Really?
It'd be everybody's in it for themselves, and you know what? Good luck, because only the strong are going to survive. And that's just not even a scenario any of us even want to think about. So,
and
no,
that's when Second Amendment guys. That's when we start. That's when everyone wants to be friends with us.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, I've been meaning to come over here and visit you. Yeah, I made you a pie. Can I stay with you for a while? I don't have any guns.
I really like these little pew pews you got here. Protect you. So, all right, Zeke. Hey man, I appreciate you coming back on and BSing with me a little bit here. It's been fun. We don't need to wait 3 years again for the next one.
No, absolutely. I had a great time. Thank you so much again for having me on. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, well, you keep doing what you're doing. Tell your brothers in blue out there that there are a bunch of us out here that appreciate you and everything you guys do, and that you're willing to actually stand up and do your thing and protect us. So, yeah, there's a bunch of us that, definitely the silent majority.
Thanks for joining us. Your attention today brings us one step closer to exposing and eliminating the evil that brings crime to our communities. Hit subscribe and share this episode. Together, we will bring justice to every victim.